Okay, fun stuff out of Florida. So, Disney was scheduled to open a new park in Florida and send staffers from California to Florida. And they scrapped it because, well, there's a war going on between Disney and Ron DeSantis. And it's only a matter of time before Disney wins because Ron DeSantis is an idiot. So, let me start with the first article, which explains what Disney did, what was supposed to happen, and then I'll read an article as to DeSantis's response, which, of course, is hilarious. Anyway, so just over a week ago, Bob Iger rhetorically asked the adversarial governor, Ron DeSantis, if Florida really wanted Disney's considerable business and tax revenue or not. Now, without mentioning the would-be presidential contender, nor his attacks on the company, the Mouse House has pulled some of that business and taxes revenue from the Sunshine State. In a note that just went out from Parks and Resorts boss Josh DeMario to Disney Parks Experiences and Products employees just now, Disney is abandoning its plan to move around 2,000 staffers and their families to Central Florida from California. Announced a few years back to not inconsiderable backlash among some Disney staffers, the planned move was already previously delayed last summer to 2026 as tensions increased between the woke-bashing DeSantis and the then Bob Chapek-run Disney over Florida's Don't Say Gay legislation and other swipes at the state's largest private employer. Sure to be a black eye to DeSantis, the move will not only see Disney toss aside the big bucks building of a new Disney campus in Lake Nona, Florida, but offer staffers who have already relocated to the state the opportunity to move back to the West Coast, even with reiterated promises to invest $17 billion in and around Disney World and hire over 10,000 new parks employees in the state over the next decade. Today's decision is a long, long way from DeMario's praise of Florida's business-friendly climate and generous tax credits 2 years ago when the relocation new campus plan was unveiled. Given the considerable changes that have occurred since the announcement of this project, including new leadership and changing business conditions, we have decided not to move forward with construction of the campus, DeMario wrote Thursday, with a slight nod to the Republican in the room, so to speak. This was not an easy decision to make, but I believe it is the right one. As a result, we will no longer be asking our employees to relocate. For those who have already moved, we will talk to you individually about your situation, including the possibility of moving you back. Rounding out the math in the loss of construction jobs, vendor spending, and more on the now scrapped $1 billion facility near Orlando International Airport alone will certainly sting DeSantis. Add to that the loss of thousands of staffers, their housing and consumer spending in Florida alone, and today's announcement will cost the state literally tens of billions of dollars, which is really not a good look for a pro-business, pro-growth politician, especially one with higher ambitions. And DeSantis plans on announcing his run on the 24th, I believe. The fact that Disney is willing to walk away from the over $550 million in tax credits the company was up to snag from Florida over the next few years for the new campus should tell you this is a serious power play to show the Sunshine State business community what is really at stake. The Disney decision comes as the Donald Trump mock DeSantis is poised to officially kick off an already troubled White House bid in the next few days. With all that, today's decision is simply the latest twist of the knife, and that they have in parentheses, in the standoff between the company and Governor DeSantis. Ugh. Oh God, I can't see. Elsewhere, the two are currently fighting in the courts, which has the potential to become an issue in the 2024 presidential election. In this matter of bringing Disney home to California, we have reached out to Governor DeSantis' office and for comment. We will update if and when we hear from them. And since this article was published, they did indeed respond, and I will get to that momentarily. However, Golden State Governor Gavin Newsom wasted no time with not one but two responses to the news, one nice and one pugilistic. Officially a spokesperson for office of the ambitious Democrat who has taken more than a few swigs at GOP leaders like DeSantis in recent months, says the governor has invited Disney to bring these jobs home from a state that is openly hostile to thousands of Disney workers. This move today shows how Florida's cruelty and hostility towards people is bad for business, and the governor welcomes Disney's increasing investment in California. But Newsom himself took to social media to put it more bluntly. Turns out, bigoted policies have consequences, the governor tweeted. That's 2,000 plus jobs that will be welcomed back with open arms to the Golden State. Thank you for doing the right thing, Disney. As a backdrop to all this, Iger and Disney has claimed in the past that DeSantis retaliated against the company for its eventual opposition last year to a parental rights bill, aka Don't Say Gay bill. In reaction, DeSantis championed an effort to strip Disney of its control over a special district that oversees its theme park property, and then to instill his appointees on the district's board, which Disney took care of. DeSantis later signed legislation to void development agreements that gave Disney autonomy over its property and surrounding land for the next 30 years, which the board did just before his hand-picked board was about to take power. With a suit from Disney and a countersuit from the governor's hand-picked replacement board, that matter could end up going all the way to the Supreme Court. Okay, so then they give the entire Josh DeMario's note. Let's see if there's anything else. Given the considerable changes that have occurred since the announcement of this project, is this just a repeat? Okay. It is clear to me the power of this brand comes from our incredible people, and we are committed to handling this change with care and compassion. I remain optimistic about the direction of our Walt Disney World business. We have plans to invest $17 billion and create 13,000 jobs over the next 10 years. I hope we're able to do so. We are committed to our teams who call Central Florida home and to all of our cast members around the world. And I want to thank you for your continued dedication to Disney parks, experiences, and products, and for delivering world-class entertainment for our guests. So that is the first article. And just an aside, DeSantis has also signed an anti-immigration bill, which, because he signed it into law, all the undocumented workers were just decided, not to report to work. And what do you know? Florida is shut down because it's really easy to claim, oh yes, we don't want these types of workers, without understanding that how much they are a part of the economy. whether you feel that they should be or not is a different story. But the fact is that they are a big part of the economy. And unless there is proof that Americans are willing to do the job, he's just shooting himself in the foot. But anyway, here is his response to Disney. A spokesman for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis downplayed Disney's announcement that it was canceling a planned project that would have moved thousands of employees from California to the Sunshine State. Jeremy Redfern, the governor's press secretary, said in a statement Disney announced the possibility of a Lake Nona campus nearly 2 years ago. Nothing ever came of the project, and the state was unsure whether it would come to fruition. Given the company's financial straits, failing market cap, and declining stock price, it is unsurprising that they would restructure their business operations and cancel unsuccessful ventures. Earlier on Thursday, Disney announced that it was canceling the $1 billion Lake Nona project, the latest twist in a battle between the company and DeSantis. The Florida project would have meant relocating a number of California employees, including those in the Imagineering unit, to the state. But Disney claims that DeSantis retaliated against the company after it publicly opposed a parental rights bill known as the Don't Say Gay law. Now they're claiming that this was just a business decision and not a public stance by Disney. But if they're doing so bad, most companies would not only not start new projects, but they would contract. And there have been layoffs. That is true. Disney has laid off people. So it's not a complete, there might be some truth to that, but the timing is very suspicious considering it wasn't supposed to start till 2026. Employees did not like the project from the very beginning. So, it could easily be that, again, Disney's just listening to their employees and that it's not so much a business decision based on how they're doing financially, because except for their streaming service, my understanding is they're doing just fine. Why they're laying people off, not a clue. I think it's the streaming department, which, since that's the struggling area, that makes sense. But it's not through their theme parks. Those are doing just fine. Those are not in the red. The part that's the problem is streaming. So, on one hand, DeSantis isn't wrong, but he's concentrating on the wrong thing. Because it's the streaming part that they're having difficulties with, nothing else. But anyway, given the considerable changes that have occurred since the announcement of this project, we read this already, the company stood to benefit from more than $550 million in tax credits. Now, I didn't say this in the previous article, but yes, that agreement was that they were going to get tax credits. But considering the war that Disney is having with DeSantis, does anybody really believe that they would continue to get those tax credits? That DeSantis wouldn't find some way of not giving them those tax credits because, he's pissed off at them? As the battle between DeSantis and the company escalated last year, Disney delayed the relocation completion date of the campus to 2026. But DeSantis moved forward on his effort to strip the company of control over a special... Yeah, we read all this. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything new here. Disney filed a lawsuit in federal court last month claiming that the governor's actions violated the First Amendment and the Contracts Clause of the Constitution, which it does. Disney's announcement was made just as DeSantis is preparing. Yeah, we know about that. Oh, I'm not a fan of Trump. Not even close. Anyone who's watched this channel knows that I really, really, really hate Trump. However, he does have some zingers. I have to give him credit for that. And this one was former President Donald Trump's campaign seized on the Disney news and blasted out a statement that DeSantis got caught in the mousetrap. So, yes, sometimes he can be witty. Usually he's atrocious, usually he's horrible, but occasionally he can be funny. So, yeah, he's really good at basking at his perceived enemies or competitors or whatever misfortune. So, yeah, that was the response to Disney not wanting to continue with the campus. And it's going to be interesting to see what becomes of it. Because like I said, I don't believe in this climate that they would still have gotten the tax credits that were promised to them in this contract anyway. So it might not simply just be that they don't want to subject their employees who are perfectly happy in California because, California doesn't force them to not be themselves. But it could also be that fear that they would lose out on these tax credits, so it would be more expensive for them to make this campus to begin with. So it could be a combination of our employees don't want to move here because Florida, you suck, but also it's going to be more expensive for us because I don't believe we're going to get these tax credits because DeSantis is waging a war on us. So it's probably a combination of the two. But I will definitely be following this, and if any other really fun developments happen, I'm not, as you could tell, I'm not, every time there is some sort of retaliation or whatever, I don't necessarily report on it, only when it's like, ooh, that's good, or, yeah, DeSantis is just basically trying to take the nation's, especially the state's largest employer, and basically is trying to run them out of the state. Because what does Florida have after that? I mean, most people go to Florida to go to Disney World. They go to Epcot. They go to Universal, which, if I recall, is on the Disney property. It's not a separate, it's a separate theme park, but it's a part of the Disney campus. I could be wrong about that. But there's so many offshoots from Universal. Like there was a Harry Potter ride. I don't know if there's a Star Wars thing. I think there might be. But the thing is that this is all a part of Disney. So basically, Disney leaves and all the theme parks are gone. So yes, you might get the spring breakers who get drunk and unnecessarily violent, or the occasional football fans, especially during bowl season. But what do you have year round? You really don't have much. So, Yeah, and Ron DeSantis is trying to chase the state's largest employer out of Florida simply because he can't handle that this conglomerate took him on. And, because he has small dick energy, and yes, I've heard some people say that, oh, you shouldn't say that because it makes people who actually have small dicks feel bad. No. The only people who have small dicks are trans men. And they're well aware of the fact that they have it because the surgery just isn't there yet. So, no, they're not going to be offended by this because they know damn well what it refers to. So, no, I'm going to keep using that. Now, and if you think you have a small dick, then I don't know what to tell you. You're just self-conscious, and it's probably not as small as you think it is. But anyway, so DeSantis, with his small dick energy, is going to destroy Florida's economy. Going to completely destroy it. Because first off, even if Disney didn't start this pushback on really bad, if not actually discriminatory and unconstitutional law, they started a pushback, and DeSantis retaliated against them. So even if Disney didn't even start that, there are many employees who probably would have left en masse because they didn't feel comfortable in Florida and because of what Ron DeSantis is doing. And there are a lot of LGBT plus people who would not go to Florida. Because, why go to Disney World when you can go to Disneyland in California, where you can be free to be who you are and not worry about ending up in jail because you just happen to be queer. So even if Disney didn't do the pushback, people would start pushing back. Now, would that cause Disney to get on the bandwagon? Well, obviously it did because they listened to their employees. Now, you could say it was because they threatened to walk out and Disney didn't want that. So they might have been forced, but it sounds like Bob Iger is much more progressive than Bob Chapek. And so probably if Bob Iger was the head of all of this, he probably would have, called out Ron DeSantis without the employees causing a stir. I could be wrong. I mean, this is Disney. They don't have the largest track record. This is the company who still likes to put out cartoons for kids that are, well, stereotypical. Let's put it that way. So they're getting better. They're definitely getting better. They're listening to their employees and their audience, so they have gotten better. But anyway, so yeah, this would have happened whether it was this overt or not, because the people would have pushed back regardless. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how badly is Ron DeSantis going to screw over Florida before he gets kicked out of office, or because there's no way he's going to be president. Maybe at one point he was popular enough, but he's made himself unpopular by going scorched earth on this idea of being anti-woke, and people have discovered how absolutely unlikable he is personally. So he has nothing going for him now. He doesn't have the policies people want. He doesn't have the personality. Say what you want about Trump, and believe me, I cannot stand him. He at least has a magnetic personality. Granted, it's like a black hole. You get sucked in and you're never seen again. Light can't even escape. But he does have a magnetic personality. So I'm not worried about Ron DeSantis getting anywhere close to the White House. Trump, yes. And yeah, I just hope that he doesn't harm Florida too much before he's kicked out of office. And God, I hope he's kicked out of office, because at some point more and more people are going to push back. Because even if you are anti-LGBT, a lot of people who are anti-LGBT still understand that what he's doing, a lot of the stuff that he's doing is just absolutely nuts, because he's also against teaching race relations. He's against learning about anything that happened to minorities, because, obviously nothing bad ever happened to anyone, because cis straight white men are the best things ever. Well, Americans anyway, are the best things ever, and they never did anything to hurt anybody ever. Except for bad guys, in foreign lands or something. So yeah. Yeah, so like I said, I hope he doesn't do too much damage to Florida and its economy before he's finally kicked out. And dear God, I hope at this point he's kicked out, because he's gone full scorched earth on trying to destroy the very state he's supposed to govern. So now I'm rambling. So I will leave it there, and I will see you guys next time.